Hi, I'm Teresa Tui, and I'm with Grand Trine Astrology, and this is June 2024's horoscope for all 12 signs. So I'm going to go ahead and just get into it. So my first screen here, you can pause and read through this. I'm not going to go through all the details, but it's just the ingresses and placements for June, just so you know what the sky is during this time period and what is going from one sign to another sign. Now, I'm focusing on the new and the full moon and the energy around it. So, Saturn squares the new moon and Venus is in conjunction. So, we're going to have those themes tied into the new moon. So, with Saturn, you're thinking about responsibility. So, it could be like responsibility with financial matters or relationships. You may need to change course in your thinking to stay on your own life's path. There's going to be some themes around women and children. I'm not going to go into too much depth on it in this series right here, but you will notice with some signs are going to have a focus on children. We are probably right now still questioning. So when I get into the new moon area of your rising sign, you may want to think about like, why are you still isolated? If you are, if you're lonely, what can you do? And I do put in some tips of things to do as I go along with this reading. Now, and I do recommend watching the whole thing because I may give a tip to another rising sign that may still apply to you because maybe it affects your sun or your moon or another part of your chart. Now, emotionally and mentally, one of the things that we can think about during this month of June is like, why is there such this divide between us? You know, we may be thinking about responsibility versus solutions. So sometimes we're very quick to finger point, like they need to take care of this, they need to take care of that. But what is our personal responsibility? And Saturn is telling us this for this month, especially during the new moon. So when I say responsibility, I am focusing back into this aspect, like what can you do as opposed to waiting on everyone else, and the action external. What can you do internally, and what actions can you take to, help merge that divide that we have throughout not just our country but the entire world. And we have these divides, everything from our one-on-one relationships all the way to our political system, and then even the countries with each other. So and then the next thing that I'm going to focus on is the new moon. I mean, the full moon. I do apologize about that. And the full moon is going to be in Capricorn. Cancer is going to be illuminating that Capricorn full moon. So I like to think about like not just the placement of Capricorn, but also the placement of the sun, because the sun does the illumination. And so what happened back in like 2019, 2020? I mean, I know that we all went through the pandemic, and how have we evolved? How have we changed? What is still lingering that is no longer serving us? And also because of Neptune, I mean, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. It went solid in 2012. And what I mean by that, it did a retrograde and then it came back into Pisces. So because of this clouded perception, we may have like some emotional baggage that we haven't released, or things that are holding us back. And a lot of it could stem back from those eclipses and the experiences that we were going through back then. And if you think about it, Cancer and Capricorn, that is home, and it's home in that nurturing sense versus your goals and your aspirations, and climbing that mountain. And so what about that is still like not the way that it needs to be for you. And, what is our public and personal responsibility? What is our sense of duty? Are we pulling our weight in our home life? Are we pulling our weight in our careers or the way that we are known? So it's not always about just the career, but how are we known in our community? How are we known in our groups? And are we even participating in any of those groups? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start the reading. This is all based on the rising sign, but things still may be applicable to your sun or your moon or other areas of your chart. Keep in mind, we are all 12 signs, whether or not we even have placements there. So buckle up. I'm getting ready to go into this, and I'm going to go pretty fast. Please read the notes, and here we go. So Aries rising, you're going to start off the month with some action and energy to do things for yourself. There may be some unexpected tests to what you value. So little things may come up out of the woodwork, could be a conflict with someone that makes you test like, okay, is this really important to me, or is it something I need to let go? There's also an uptick in your social life. You're probably going all around town, running errands, things to do, daily activities. So that's how you're going to start off the month. And then we have the new moon, and it's really based upon you setting responsibility for your communication. And as you see, we have it here in the third house, that new moon energy. So again, the theme of responsibility here. How are you communicating? How are you socializing? Yes, there are factors outside of our control, but are we taking action to communicate with kindness, with empathy? Are we being clear? Are we taking ownership of our finances, or maybe even the finances of your local community? And there are things that you can do that not only help the community, but is beneficial for you as well. So maybe you get involved in a cleanup or your local PTA, or go to council meetings, or maybe even it's as small as your homeowners association. When was the last time that you've gone to one of those meetings, and what can you learn from it? But also, what responsibility do you have? And it can even be little things like tidying up your yard, or just saying hello to your neighbors as you're taking a walk, as opposed to having the headphones on and looking down. Because when we don't do those things, we lose that connection. So you may want to say some affirmations on like, I connect to my community, I take responsibility for my actions. And some of that could just be like, don't drive so fast and be reckless. Pay attention to the street signs and the people on the side of the road walking, and giving grace and allowing people to cut in front of you, as opposed to like speeding up. Okay, so also Aries rising, you're also going to be thinking about positive ways to transform, or I'm suggesting for you to do so. And this is about your environment, where you're at. And again, like I said, doing a cleanup action and stuff like that is really good for you in June. Now, when we get to the full moon, Cancer, we have these Cancer ingresses, and this all goes into your fourth house. And your fourth house is your home and family, and that's the focus. And, this may be a time where you want to do a staycation, as opposed to, going somewhere far away. It could be like just doing something more at home or in your local community. And you're probably busy with a lot of projects and possibility of even beautifying your home. You may be finishing up a work project. So this is a really good time, to come in, you went out in the community, and then come in and take that into your home and continue that path of what's important to you, and just enjoy yourself. So Now, I do want to say, I know Aries rising, before I go ahead and move on. I don't want you to think that I have negated that. You went through those eclipses back in, okay, June, May, April. I apologize. So the end of March and April, we had that solar eclipse. So there's been a lot of focus on you and your relationships. And this is more of, what's nice about this month is that there's a step away from that energy and that heaviness, and more like you coming back out of your shell, so to speak. And you may not have even been a shell, but just like dealing with all that stuff. And now it's like, hey, neighbors, hey, friends, hey, siblings, hey, everyone, here I am. Let's relax, let's have fun, let's do things, and come over to my house. I just bought new dinnerware and I want to have a little dinner party. So it's a way of lightening what you've been going through. So I'm going to now talk about Taurus rising. So you are continuing this transformative spiritual practice. So you may have like started yoga recently, or you've been walking out in nature, maybe doing some breath work or meditation. You're going to continue this practice, or I recommend you continue this practice. Enlightened thoughts about your own sense of self may change or heighten the things that you value. So, the more that you know about yourself, you may be re examining the things that you thought you valued or the things that you do value. And you're probably going, maybe I don't need all this stuff. So with that new moon, you can set intentions based on your core beliefs, your desires, and your income. So you may have like art or music or, things that are around the home that, you may no longer need to hold on to. It could even be heirlooms and antiquities that were passed down that don't have a sentimental value to you, but they may have a monetary value. And looking at them, they may not be giving you joy. So if that's the case, this is a good time to purge that stuff. And then that helps triggers, some more income to you. Or if you have these things, maybe you can have a way to where you are monetizing it. You may keep it, but maybe you're doing some lessons online, or writing something, or just telling people about it, teaching people how to take care of certain things that are valuable. And that is something that you can do, because keep in mind that with that energy of the new moon, it is in opposition of the 8th house. So, which is shared resources. So you could actually talk about share your knowledge and ways on how to preserve things of value. And then if you haven't decluttered, but you need to declutter, this is a good time to do so. Review your values and your income sources. You may have an income source that you weren't even aware of, maybe an investment that you made a long time ago and that you completely forgot. This may be a good time to review it and either make changes to it, maybe cash out and enjoy that windfall. Now we get to the full moon and we have those Cancer ingresses, and this is going to happen into your 3rd house. And of course, the sister house here is the 9th house, where your emotions are going to lay out. So it is focus on, your communication, and beautification is the focus here with that Venus. So you are maybe being a little poetic, and you may have a moment where you need to purge your thoughts and feelings, and you may do that through writing, or and you may be longing for a sense of community. Maybe you're going to a poetry slam, or some other community event with music and art and releasing, and spend leisure time. Like if you're more of an introvert and you like enjoying like going to things, but you don't really want to participate, you can go to local coffee shops, write in a journal, and and focus on those emotions. And part of that may also be like, what are your emotions when it comes to things that are foreign to you or outside of your comfort zone, or something to do with higher learning pursuit, something that just takes it up to the next level. Hey, Gemini rising, this is a time that's all about you. Yes, because we've got all these wonderful Gemini placements. And this is all happening right here in your first house. So you may have a eureka moment. And what I mean by that is like, you just may be doing something and then all of a sudden like, wow, that is what I need to do. And you may wind up joining a group or surround yourself with others who have the same spiritual sense that you have. You set intentions based on your own personal responsibility. So maybe it's a commitment for you. And I'm talking now about the new moon. Maybe there is this commitment for you to start wearing sunscreen, or get out of the sun and get some of that vitamin D, and to examine, like, are you being Gemini rising? Are you being your authentic self? And I know that you're great at asking a lot of questions, and you like hearing other people's stories, but are you expressing yourself through your words and experience to let yourself shine? And that's really what the focus is here. This is a time where you may want to even change your look. You're expanding yourself as far as the way that you present yourself. So it's okay to peacock, like wear the crazy clothes if that reflects who you truly are. But just make yourself known. Don't fade into the background. In fact, let me go back, like an affirmation that you can do during this time period. It could just be, I am. Nothing more than that. Just I am, and feel who you are, think who you are, be who you are. Okay, and now let me go back forward, and we've got the full moon, and now we have the Cancer ingresses here, and we've got this happening in your second house. So this is where you want to start taking action, and we're looking like the last part of the month. Start taking action when it comes to your income sources, or at least start reviewing it, having conversations. And this can also be your shared resources as well, because it's going into the 8th house, and that's where that moon is being illuminated by the sun. So there may be some nostalgia that sets in, like on the things that you hold dear, being like a family heirloom. And if so, if this is something that you don't need to purge, but this is something of like great value and it's got this tradition, you may want to repair it. If it's got flaws, you may want to do an insurance policy on it. This is also a good time for you to start thinking about or preparing a will. So, and that's not saying anything's going to happen to you, Gemini risings, but it's just a good time to do that. And you may be feeling like, oh yeah, I don't have a will, or I don't know where things would go way in the future. Maybe I should start thinking about that. Okay, Cancer rising. If there was ever a time for you to share or be known for your spiritual gifts, this is the time. So you want to take action and joining others, present, be on stage, up your social media. That's what this time period's all about. And the reason why here is because we've got this energy in your 12th house. So that's where the focus is at. And then, of course, we've got action and your life path here in the 10th house. So this is the time for you to really shine and take, what you are, what is your spiritual presence, and bring that to the forefront. So you want to set intentions and not be afraid to share your psychic gifts. And I am saying this more for me than anybody, because I am a Cancer rising. And I know that for a long, long time, because I mean, I discovered my gifts when I was very young, accidentally. I didn't know what they were back then. But I've always been like, well, I think or I feel, and I'm reluctant to say I see, I know. And this is your time to step into that energy. So set intentions based on your gifts and taking it to the next level and being socially and financially responsible when it comes to this. And what I mean is that, yes, it is great to be able to have the ability to tap into the cosmos and see everything, but you know, you still have a life here on earth that you need to be responsible for. This is a good time, if you haven't written a book, to write a book. Can you communicate in a way that bridges earth and the ethereal, as opposed to being an either or situation, which is something that escapes most of us, that a lot of us don't understand, that they are actually in overlap. There is, earth is part of heaven, heaven is part of earth. There is an overlap and an interconnection. And you, Cancer rising, this is your time where you can tap into that energy and see it and communicate it with others. So you may want to say like things, affirmations as, I am the bridge, or I have one foot in the ethereal and one foot grounded into earth. Okay, because we want that balance. Now, you may also, Cancer risings, be revisiting a spiritual practice that you had in the past, that where you had gained a lot of insight and growth, and it just went to the wayside because life happens. So maybe you were really big into yoga at one time and you haven't done it in a long time. This would be a good time to revisit that. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's chanting, listening to kirtan, whatever it is that sparks that with you. Now we get over to the full moon, and we have the full moon here in your 7th house. And this focus on the 1st house. So we have these Cancer ingresses, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun into that 1st house. So this is where it's you and your relationships, your one-on-one relationships. So you're coming back into your emotional self. So now that you've been a little bit up here in the cosmos, a lot of that air energy, now you're coming down into the heart. Spend time nurturing your soul. Do things for you. Get a massage, write in a journal, allow yourself to shine. And if you're in a partnership, this is a good time for you guys to give each other massages. Maybe for the two of you to go like to a beach or in water and just relax. There's those floating places, and I have not done it, but if that was something that you were interested in, this would be a good time to do that. And one of the last thing that I want to say with Cancer risings is that you cannot help others. And I know you're nurturing nature. You want to help everyone else, but you cannot do that without taking care of yourself first. So this full moon is really about filling your tank back up emotionally, just nurturing and taking care of you. Okay, Leo rising, you are in the limelight right now. You've been in that limelight for a little while, and so this is a great time for you to travel, network, just be known for being you. So it's just a great time for you. The new moon is going to conjunct Venus, and this is a time where you're setting intentions about your responsibility when it comes to groups and your group participation. So you may be getting all the attention or have been getting the attention for a while now, and now we're here and you're a part of these groups. But what cause are you going to lead? So you're getting this attention, and now how do you take that attention that you've been getting lately and turn it into your responsibility in the group. What can you make monumental change, and who, this is the most important thing, Leo rising, who are you inviting to the table? So if everyone around you in that group of leaders all look the same, think the same, act the same, have the similar backgrounds and everything, why? Yeah, it's time for you to include others, and that is a way of you being responsible within groups. So this is your time to really expand and focus to being the champion for the causes for the masses. So even that means even at work. So if you're a leader in your company that you work for, or you own your own business, or whatever it may be, are you championing everyone at work? Or are you just championing the people who you deem worthy of it? Because keep in mind, we all come from the same source. We are all worthy. So this is your time to reflect upon that and start with that inclusion and taking that responsibility. So one of those things, if we go back to the new moon, if you want to do an affirmation, it can be, I include everyone. I champion all. I am part of this group, and I embrace every member of this group. Okay. So now we get over to the full moon, and we have those Cancer ingresses into your 12th house. So there's this shift that you're going to have where, you were hopefully, participating and maybe leading a group, and then you may start looking inward towards the end of the month, or hopefully you are, and you start nurturing and tapping into your higher self. With this, the sun is illuminating the 12th and the 6th house. And then how do you apply everything to your daily living? For instance, now that you have recognized that everybody can be part of the group, how do you express compassion? How do you take others in? What are you doing in your daily routines? And sometimes it is just like, if you're in a work environment, walking around and saying hello to everybody and asking them how they're doing so that they feel included. Okay. And by doing that, you'll find that it nurtures your own soul, because you're tapping into that connection that we have with each other. Okay, Virgo rising. You may need to take care of an investment or a shared resource when the month starts off. You may be called, especially in a work environment, but it could even be outside of that, to either plan or attend a higher learning event. Or it could just be you. Like, you may be like going, I'm interested in astrology. I'm going to start taking some classes on it, or whatever the case may be, whatever you're interested in. There's a lot of focus for the next few weeks on your reputation and who you present yourself to be. So with that new moon, you're going to want to set intentions based on your persona and what you put into your career. So I'm not talking about your daily work, but your reputation within the work environment or within whatever groups that you are part of. So if you are a community leader, it could be your reputation there. So it's also a good time where you may even get an award or a raise because of that attention to you. So, this is a time where you may reflect of who you are, and and one of the things that with this attention to you, I see that it's very important for you to be positive with others. And what I mean by that is that Virgo risings are usually amazing troubleshooters. They can look and see where the gaps are, where the issues are, whether it is, especially when it comes to systems and routines and stuff like that. But this is a good time for you to focus on what is working and allowing others know that you see that, so that you come off as a balanced, fully developed, full-rounded person, and not just that person who goes, That's wrong. That's wrong. You want to be like, hey, that is working. And so is that. And I think if we just tweak this little thing, we can make it better. See, there's a little shift there from critical to productive. And that's really should be your focus right now with your persona. Like you want to be seen as productive. So you can even do affirmations like, I am known for being productive. I am known for being balanced when it comes to making things work and troubleshooting or whatever the case may be. So you want to have both that, you're able to see what isn't working, but also combine it with what is. And that's going to lead you to some really great success, and you're putting your best out there. So this is a really good time for you. And then what happens is that we do have those Cancer ingresses. So now we're moving over to this 11th house with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. So how are you communicating and participating? Because that's something that sometimes Virgo rising struggle with. And this is your time to actually participate in those groups. So whether or not you're a leader or not in those groups doesn't really matter per se, but you have that ability to, like I've mentioned, you have that ability to have that critical eye, and you can find the details that are overlooked or show others how they can make a positive change. So you may even be working behind the scenes in these groups, but this is a really good time for you to join groups if you're not already part of one. If you are already part of groups, then this is your time to really step up on the participation part. And these groups could be everything from, homeowners association to a work group. Maybe it is something to do with, a political cause. It could be a beautification program. I mean, there's just so many groups out there, and it could just be something social, but you're there and you can help people to make positive change within that group. Okay, Libra rising. So Libra risings, you probably have had the hardest time, especially if we look back at April. There was a lot of focus on your one-on-one relationships, and that could be good, or that could be really positive. So I don't want you to think that, oh, I went through this and me and my significant others are even stronger. Why aren't I having discord? Well, that's because you actually were, putting yourself in a position, and maybe the rest of your chart as well, to where you could have very sustainable, committed, loving relationships. But there's also a possibility that some of you Libra risings, maybe those other people were not stepping up, or you've outgrown each other. Sometimes it can be two really amazing people, but you're on different paths, and your relationship has separated. It's no longer worth continuing because neither one of you can grow with each other anymore. So anyway, there may be some unexpected communication about shared resources. So if you're dividing up resources, there may be some communication that you need to pay attention to, and or you may get communication with your joint resources, or maybe someone that you are close to or building that foundation with is like, hey, am I like the beneficiary on this? And, do we need to update? It's also a good time to get away, travel, and take some courses. So you've been through a lot. Now it's time, like, enjoy yourself. Go out there. We've got all this ninth house energy. You may want to take a long trip, whether it's distance or time, or go overseas, or, do something that is culturally outside of what you normally dabble in. So, like if you are someone who's like really into like rock music, well, maybe like go to some event somewhere where it's like jazz, or and that's probably not the best example, but just something different than what you normally do will help shift that energy that you've been going through with the eclipses and everything, and just bring like this lighter air to who you are. Um, and then also, yeah, tapping into that inner joy. It's just very important for you to do that during this time. If you're going to do any kind of intentions, it may be stuff like, I allow myself to explore. I allow myself to travel, or I connect to other cultures, or whatever it is to help take away from that heaviness that you may have gone through, which either solidified your relationships or they went to different paths. Okay, so you also may be encouraged during this time, to you may be dividing up some assets, or you may be combining assets. Just make sure whatever you do that it is fair. Devise an investment plan. Think long term, because if you are dividing things up, you may need to think about like what happens, not just right at the moment, but how is that going to impact you, your loved ones, and everyone over, possibly even decades. Okay, so now we have the full moon and Cancer ingresses. You are stepping into being seen again. So here you are. This is the start of you being seen. And we have your Cancer in your 10th house, and this is going to be in opposition to your 4th house. So that moon is going to be in your home environment. So you may be thinking about what is the things that you emotionally need in your home. And keep in mind the full moon is a very brief time period. Moon traverses through a sign in 2.5 days. That moon energy is about a day or two. So what in your home do you need to change? And again, that could be reflective of everything that you've gone through recently. Be it if your life was chaotic because of the past relationship, or maybe it felt cold, or whatever the case may be. This is your time to like emotionally think about that energy that you want in your house and how you can start reflecting that. But beyond that, you're going to be recognized in your work environment, in your career, or whatever it is that you do. Now, one of the caveats that I do want to tell you, Libra rising, is that you tend to, because you have Cancer ruling your 10th house, people tend to feel very comfortable going to you, especially in a work environment. And with that Libra rising, it's Libra risings are generally very even-keeled people, very balanced. So you're balanced, but yet you have this nurturing side that you may not even be aware of, but others kind of see it, like they feel good around you. So what often happens is that they will come to you and they will want a lot of help from you. And with all these extra oomph to that house right now, they may be coming to you even more and overwhelming you. So what I recommend during this time is to create harmonious boundaries. So if like you have a company handbook and the answer is in the handbook, as opposed to giving them the answer, your reply back would be like, oh, it's in the company handbook, just look up this, and then be done with it. Don't go and do the research for them. That's their job. You need to do your job. And you don't need to have that distraction all the time and working late and burning yourself out because you're taking care of everybody else and not just your own stuff. So this is a good time. If you haven't developed harmonious boundaries, this is a great time for you to do so. Okay, Scorpio rising. So you're going to start off the month with a lot of energy in your 6th house. You've probably been dealing with this for a while. You may have some unexpected conversations with your loved ones. getting down to the meat of a matter. And you're looking to see into who has what and what is shared and making sure that everything's aligned. And that is because we have this new moon in the 8th house. So you're setting intentions for long-term stability, especially when it comes to investments, relationships, what is needed to make those things work. You also may be dealing right now with final arrangements or elders in your family and their assets, and is everything taken care of for them, or for the heirs, or for their health, or anything in regards to that. So the 8th house theme is really the big focus here. And 8th house has things to do with death, taxes, real estate, law to a certain degree, and more like contracts, estate planning, finality, as well as investments, and as well as deep, deep, deep intimacy. So that one-on-one relationship. So you may, if you and your partner, you feel this connection, but you want to take it to the next level, this is a great time for you to do so. But you need to make sure that you are letting things shed and letting that wall come down so that you can really be your authentic self, lay it all on the line. So this can be kind of a heavy time for you right now. Or it can just be a very intense time. So you may want to do some manifestations, some intentions of, I am responsible for, this detail, and you may also want to give yourself some grace on, I am responsible for allowing myself to be connected to others, or I am responsible for intimacy on my end. So keep in mind, though, you can't control others. So be aware of that. So it would be like what you can put in. And also, once you go through all this, and you may even be finishing up like some projects, and you're reviewing your assets, and just at the end, you want to like transform everything for growth. Now, when we get to that full moon, you're going to delve into your emotions, and you're going to learn new ways to express them. And that's because everything's going into your 9th house. So that's going to lighten up that heaviness that you've been going through with dealing with all those other nitty-gritty things. This is a great time for travel, because this is opposite, and that full moon is, and I know on here it's hard to see, but that full moon is actually going to be in Jupiter. My screenshot, I should have done one like an hour or two later, but it was hard to get this aligned. But yeah, it's going to be in Capricorn in that 3rd house. So again, this is travel, this is writing. And with that dynamic there, it could be local or foreign travel that you may either be planning or doing. You may be doing some things locally with a plan on doing something further out. And it's going to take you out of this current world that you've been involved with and open you up to something new that connects others. So it's just a great time for you. This is going to be a great shift. It's going to feel like a sense of relief to you when that energy moves out of the 8th house and into the 9th house. Okay, Sagittarius rising. Your actions are going to be filled with creativity when you start off this month. And, the children in your life, you may be making room for them. I mean, there's even a possibility of a pregnancy. I'm not saying that there will be, because it depends on your own chart. Okay. So this is just the energy that is there for Sagittarius risings. Or you may even be having conversations when it comes to work routines, and there's this focus on your committed relationship. So as we see, we have the new moon here in that seventh house, the house of committed relationships. So you may be setting intentions about those relationships. So it could be like, I am responsible for showing up into these relationships, or I take ownership for my commitments to these relationships. And it's not about the philosophical idea of a relationship, but you're now getting down to the nitty gritty. And, thinking about these balanced or harmonious relationships, but also becoming an equal. So, like taking responsibility. So, if you're feeling that strong connection and you're in love, and this other person is committed to you, and you want to, like you can't imagine life without them, then this is time for you to express yourself and step up to the table. But make sure that you're doing it because you are, that is what you want. But it may not necessarily be like long-term commitment, but maybe you're just dating someone for a while, and that they are just dating you and you're dating a few others, but the others aren't doing anything for you, but this one person like rocks your boat. Okay, well, now it's time to step up, and allow others to also express themselves. This is an important time where, it's not just about you talking and what you see and what you want, but actually listening to that other partner. And that's going to create that harmony. And yeah, you may be wanting to take this relationship to the next level and expand your partnership. So, and that could be anything from going from friends to dating, from dating to living together, from living together to marriage, or what. And that's just the course that, a traditional course, but you may have another course, and that's okay. Now, we get to the full moon, and that full moon is in Capricorn, and it will be hitting your second house of values. And now we've got these planets going into your eighth house. So you're probably now having even deeper, by the time the end of the month comes, deeper conversations about the future, what to invest in, how to make your home a reflection of the two of you if you are in a relationship, or or whoever it is. And it could even be you and your children or roommates or anything like that. How do you make it a reflection of all the inhabitants? And then if you're single, you may be thinking about making your home more inviting, and how to invest in that area. So, and it also could be, this is a time where emotionally you start thinking about what it's like to take your own life to the next level. Maybe you are so embraced in freedom to where you're not thinking about the future. So during this full moon, you may be starting to think about like, I'm X age and I have no investments, and maybe I need to start putting some money aside for a rainy day or anything like that. Okay, so Capricorn rising, you may be in the process of moving right now. And the reason why is because we've got Mars, and it's towards the tail end of the fourth house, which could be that final action if that's something that you've been wanting to do. Or you could be part of renovating or redoing a part of your home. And you may start having like some sparks of creativity. There's this heightened sense of attention towards your work and routines and health. And if you are in the process of moving, maybe you haven't been paying attention to your health, because I've I've been there, and what happens, you may be like in between homes or something one sold, and maybe, whatever the case may be, there's boxes all over. So you're ordering pizzas and stuff like that. And you're like, going, I cannot do this anymore. So there's that, going back to your health and setting, again, harmonious boundaries between your work and your life balance as well. And setting intentions that focus on you taking care of yourself is important now. So with that new moon, you want to do things like, I am responsible for my health, or I am, exercising every day, whatever the case may be, whatever your health path is that you need to tweak for you. And at work, there is going to be a lot of attention on projects or a workload right now. So you may have gone through this move, you may not have, may have been doing things in the home recently, and now you've got all this work. So that's just a lot of energy and a lot of projects. So breath work, quiet time, getting enough sleep, all this is very important, because guess what? If you're working at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night and you started early in the morning, you are not doing your best. It's taking you longer to get those things done. But if you relax, if you had some quiet time, some peace, some sleep, taking care of your body, exercising, doing yoga, whatever the case may be, running, when you are at work, you'll be more efficient at work and be able to get more done. And you'll have more of that balance with your body and your health and your mental health, even, that it's a lot, but you'll do much better getting through it than just plowing and taking on all this responsibility and ignoring yourself. And as I say that, after that new moon, you will be devising a process to transform what you do. And through all this hard work, you may be able to figure out some ways to use other tools to help you out, like using AI for communication and optimization. So keep that in mind, that if you're clear-headed and you're rested, you can think of ways that can actually help you with that workload. So now we get into the full moon with Cancer. After that hectic work schedule, you are craving that emotional bond with the people that you love, with your friendships. So you're starting to pay closer attention to those relationships and making them a priority. And especially if you took the opportunity to figure out ways to work smarter than harder, this will really pay off for you. And it will allow you to rejuvenate and, going from your heart, and, and those people in your relationships, they love you. They want you to be around, and they don't want you to be around just for, the financial, or just for, whatever you bring at that moment. They want you around for a long time. They care about you and love you. Okay, Aquarius rising. So this is a busy, bam, 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 fast time for you. So you're going to start off being busy with errands and local travel, and there could be some disruptions at home. So maybe some disagreements, probably because of this hurriedness. So you may be leaning into that hectic energy, but everybody else in your house it may be jarring for them. So be aware of that. And to help this hurriness, to help dissipate it some, take on some creative projects which can help settle it. Because at home, that anxious hyper energy can sometimes just be exhausting for not only you, but for the other people around. Now, when we get to the new moon, there will be a shift towards family, and mainly the children. So, or play, or creativity. So this is the focus of that new moon, which is a beautiful, beautiful new moon. If you're a creative person, this is a great time to write, paint, draw, do, play music, write a song, write poetry. And creativity doesn't even have to be limited to the arts per se, but it could be other ventures as well, or going out to concerts, art events, festivals. Like, I mean, this is just a great time. And, we are in the first part of the summer months where a lot of things are happening. And also that creativity could be you throwing a party with your friends or the other people in the household. And so, yeah, this is just a time where but keep in mind, you may need to, as you shift into that play and have a good time, you may need to set some restrictions to it with these creative pursuits. But remember to expand this lighter atmosphere, let your inner child to shine. So if you throw a party, it doesn't have to be like some drunken debacle to like 5 a.m. That would just be, that wouldn't do you any good. You're not going to feel good afterwards. So just keep that in mind. Be young, young in spirit, but not young in like not taking responsibility or actions. And so you may want to, as far as any intentions or affirmations, you may want to say things like, I allow my inner child to express itself. I allow the joy within me to just greet others on a daily basis. Things like that, things that just connect. Or, if you do have children, it is, I allow my inner child to play with my own children. So anyway, then we get moving over into the full moon. There's now a focus on work and routine. Here we have it in your 6th house. And that is going to illuminate over to your 12th house. So you have this 6th house, 12th house balance here that you're going into. So emotionally, you may feel very spiritual. You may even be thinking of like someone who has passed away. And you may even have dreams of them. They may be coming through to you. And, and then and after all that play, you're taking some of that stuff that you just went through with allowing your inner child, and now you're at work. So that was good. You needed that shakeup. And now the things that are structured for you, you can add some play in there. Playing music and focusing on health and diet and exercise and breathing, and bringing in that joy that you were just experiencing into your work life. That's a really good transition for you, Aquarius. So as opposed to like just turning it on and shutting it off, be a little silly at work. Be silly as you're doing your routines, turn up the music, and as you're vacuuming, dance with the vacuum. Just have some fun with that daily routine, and pay attention, because you're probably going to get some messages from those that are above you. I just getting this right now. Okay. And now Pisces risings, you are taking action on the things that you value, and you may learn something just out of the blue about one of your neighbors, your siblings, somebody in your community that's going to be maybe even a little shocking. And right now there will be, in the beginning of June, there's going to just be this focus on home, harmony, and love. You're going to want to set intentions of what you want your home to look like. So be it either the people in your home, the way that your home looks, but you're looking for this balance. So, we've got Venus here, and I think that's, it's not just this emotional aspect that you're going to be looking at with this new moon, but also the balance. And so for instance, if you don't like cleaning, or if you've got a lot of clutter, or whatever the case may be, this is a time for you to like set intentions on things to, if it's not causing you joy and it's not causing harmony in your house, to start getting rid of it. I know most of us cannot hire somebody to come to our house and clean for us, but maybe investing in a robotic vacuum cleaner, or Pisces, and I know sometimes this is hard for you to ask others to step up to the plate with those home responsibilities, but you and them, like, create a chart, like, this person is responsible for doing this, this, and this. This person is responsible for doing these things. You are responsible for doing these things. And by doing so, that's going to create some harmony and balance and give you that home life that you really want. You need to make sure that you do your part so others follow suit. Because if you want this balance in your home life, you've got to take ownership and responsibility of it. So you can make intentions like, I am responsible for the balance of my home. I am responsible for making things work within my home. And I'm not saying the relationships per se, but when your home is in an environment that is organized and isn't chaotic, things are where they belong, it creates harmony with everyone within the household. Now, so anyway, so you are going to work on beneficial systems, and as you do that, you will see some change. And by the time you get to the full moon is then going to move over to your 5th house, and that's going to make it so much easier to play, be creative, and have fun. If you do that work and take responsibility for that work at home, then that second part is just going to be a breeze. And and this is going to be your 11th house with your 5th house here. So you're going to have, you may start taking responsibility, or think about your responsibility on social causes, emotionally, like, how do you connect with what's going on in the world? And then at home, you may, or in your life, you may start thinking about like things like, hey, this is a good time to date if you're single, or even if you're in a committed relationship. It's important to still date. You may be painting and writing and doing creative things, going out, being flirty, and just being open with your heart. And the more that you do that and lean into that creative action, music, and just like, and creativity can even just be like how you flirt with someone, how you wink, how you have eye contact, doing different things like that, and doing it with the heart. And the magic's just going to happen for you, Pisces. So as long as you take care of those little details around the house, things are going to be a really nice transition into a creative time period for you. And yes, I know that right now we do have Saturn, in your 1st house. And that's why I stress on that responsibility portion, because, Saturn, I know sometimes people think that Saturn just puts that damper on everything, but I don't know. Some of my best times have been with Saturn aspects, even some of the hard aspects, because it brings me more conscientious to what's happening. So I think that's real important for you to remember that right now, Pisces. So anyway, I do appreciate you all staying around for this horoscope for June 2024. If you want to know more specific about your own chart, because this is just the overview of the energy, if you want me to read your energy and how it relates to the transits, or who you are, like, Do you know your true self? Are you still struggling with that? Or is there things about you that you've kept hidden and maybe it's time for you to show that and express it? Or you're just trying to make sense of what's gone on in your life so far? Book a reading with me. I have everything from a 30-minute one question mini reading, which really focuses down and drills down on one specific item that maybe that's going on in your life right now and how it will all shake out. Your natal chart, I do transit reading if you already are astute with what your birth chart is like, a solar return if it's your birthday, or a synastry reading, though I do want to let you know with synastry readings, that means your relationship, you and another partner, and I would look at both charts. I do need their permission as well. And I also encourage both of you to be on the call. So just so you know how I do it through Zoom. You do get a recording. It is private. You can ask questions. I'll probably start off just rambling a lot and then, I'll always make sure I open up time for questions. So book your reading at Grand Trine Astrology. And thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a fabulous day.